Well, hey guys, and welcome back to Fireside Farms. So to start, let's get this out of the way. For those of you that are new here or have been new here in the last 4 months, hello, my name is Megan. I live on a 1.5 acre homestead in southwest New Mexico in the Chihuahuan Desert. For the past 4 months, I have been MIA. Everyone knew where I was. I did let everyone know that I would be off social media for a couple months because I was getting married. My amazing now husband Chase proposed to me in July, and I wanted to plan the wedding locally, completely by myself, try to keep it as cheap as possible, including sourcing my own dried florals for the arrangements and everything. And I did that in about 4 months' time. It went swimmingly. The wedding was a massive success, and all of the time off of social media really helped. And on that note, I want to say thank you guys to everyone who is still a subscriber, who has subscribed since then, for being patient with me. I have missed having you guys in the garden, and just because I was not here on YouTube does not mean that I did not do work in the garden. I continued on with my normal growing food because that's what I want to do, is I want to grow all of my own food. So what we are going to do today is show you what I have done in the last 4 months and do a bit of a garden tour. I mean, I have my entire garden planted out with all of my fall and winter crops. I just didn't label anything. We've been through this before. It's a problem. I did it on purpose this time, just because I was really stressed out during planting time for the fall garden. I was in the midst of wedding planning, obviously, and it was just too much to write out all of the tags, keep them organized, plant them exactly. I just threw everything in the ground, guys. Everything's in the ground. Everything's growing. I'm getting food, but I don't have any of the varieties for you. I'm sorry. I can name a couple of them. Let's get on with it. So what I can do is when I go around to edit this video, I can just list all. I know which varieties I planted because I have all the seed packets. I just don't know which variety I'm looking at in the garden, unless it's very obviously a variety that's different from all the others. So I can't name you the varieties per se today during this garden tour, but I can list them on the screen when I edit. So first things first, look at this gorgeous garden. These are 2 new beds that I literally just made today. I'm going to fill them with soil, but what I have layered here on the bottom underneath is cardboard, and then I put a layer of old grass hay from my neighbors and horse manure from my neighbors as well. Now these beds are just 2x8s. I'm finishing off this garden fence area, and I still have to do this corner. I think I'm just gonna do a 4x4 bed. What I'm really thinking of for this front corner of the garden and this front walkway kind of area is I want to do probably a lot of flowers, a lot of zinnias and sunflowers. They do really well in the full sun here. Something else I could probably do is okra and maybe beans and some peppers. But for the most part, I would like this area to be pretty and colorful and bright, the first thing you see when you walk into the garden. Now most of these beds are just planted with whatever I had out here at the time when I was doing all of my fall planting. I do have a few things bunched up together, like root vegetables. All my rutabagas right here, and I have root vegetables over there in that bed as well. So here I have carrots, and I'll list all of the carrot varieties that I grew here. They're not ready yet. They're just little babies. And so the carrots are mostly covering this area. I've got a couple turnips and radishes on the outliers. And down this edge of the bed are rutabagas. I've also interplanted a bunch of leeks here just because I started a bunch of them and I had them left over. Hey, Apollo. So I threw them in like all of my beds. They're just in random places, as well as onions. I've just thrown onions in a lot of random beds. Let's not dig in Mommy's bed, huh? Come on. Come on. Okay. You're adorable. I love you. But I need you to get out of here. Come on. Come on. Over here, these are Brussels sprouts that aren't really doing a whole lot. I have had terrible luck with Brussels sprouts for several years now. I do keep trying to grow them just in case, and to be fair, this is a different variety. I think it's red rupine, something like that, than I've ever grown before. They're not doing any better than any other variety I've ever had. This is a sad looking broccoli compared to some of my other plants. And this looks like a cauliflower. And these two are that's a cabbage. That's either broccoli or cauliflower. Because of the really busy wedding planning season I had, I just kind of came out here whenever I had a chance and threw seedlings in the ground. So I had started all of my fall and winter vegetables indoors, and when I moved them outdoors, they were sitting right over here for weeks, and I was just watering them, and whenever I got a chance I would come and like do a whole bed and just plant it full of stuff. And then when I had blank spaces, that's where I threw in my root vegetables like carrots, radishes, turnips, beets, etc. And that's why all of my root vegetables are kind of thrown together, because that was just blank spaces that I had that I was just throwing seeds down. It's a mess. And here in this bed, I've got mostly broccoli and cauliflower on these two rows right here. I've already harvested a couple broccoli from the garden. See, this was a big old head. I pulled him a couple days ago. And over here, we've also got a really, really nice looking head, which is gonna be harvested definitely within the next week. All along this outer edge, I have beets, turnips, and radishes. The radishes are kind of concentrated over here, while the beets and turnips got seeded over here. I know this because the leaves are different, so I could tell. Also, you can just see this guy. Not ready yet. I haven't harvested a bunch from here. Honestly, it is way too densely planted. They just aren't getting the nutrients that they need, which is why they're growing so slowly. Which is fine. It's totally possible to grow like this, though not ideal. Definitely not ideal. If you have access to fertilizer, then it's definitely helpful to come in more often than you would normally. Spread some fertilizer and water this. You're also going to need to water something like this more often because it's so densely planted. All of those roots obviously are going through the only water in the soil more quickly than if there were less roots. But so far, it's fine. I don't want to go ripping up a bunch of plants. It's so pretty. So I'll just wait till they harvest, and one by one I'll start harvesting, and as I clear out space, the other plants will grow up. And it's kind of like this self-created succession sowing or succession harvesting because as you pull up one plant, another plant will have more room to grow and therefore get big after that. Here I've got bok choy. These are two bok choy plants. I harvest from these guys, look at this, pretty regularly. Look at all these. These are some of my most harvested plants, as well as this Mizuna 605 mustard, which was a seed packet sent to me by Baker Creek. This is a more heat tolerant mustard, and I did grow it all summer. It survived, and that is the plant right there, that bush. This mustard I planted in the spring, and it has been alive since then. So for those of you fellow desert dwellers, I can, after growing it for one season, absolutely recommend the Mizuna 605 mustard for summer growth. I will give you one caveat though. I grew it not really under full shade. It ended up being planted under some okra plants that obviously got very big and tall and shaded it out for a lot of the late summer, as well as the shade cloth that I usually have over here in the late summer. So it was definitely more shaded than sitting out in full sun. I don't think it would have done as well, but it took the heat like a champ. It still gets over 100 degrees in my garden in the summer with the shade cloth. So highly recommend that one. And here we have the onion bed. I did this last year as well. I saved one 4x8 bed devoted solely to onions, and this has more than 100 Texas early grano onions in it. Now, if you see this cattle panel here, this is here because of Apollo, who was the cat that was just in my garden. My cats, I have 4 of them. Only 3 really come outside and like hunt things and get out and about. And it's kind of a hit or miss when they're going to get in the garden because they don't do it regularly. But when they do, they'll dig in like 5 beds in one night. And I actually had, I don't know if it was Apollo, it could have been one of my 2 other cats that come out here, but they had dug up some of my onions, half of this garlic bed, and half of the carrots over there, and just demolished 3 beds in one night. So I had to like scramble and put a bunch of fencing on here, and it does successfully keep the cats out to just put like a cattle panel, or even I have chunks of cattle panel like this, just lay it over so it doesn't really interfere with the plants, especially plants like this is garlic and onion, which have small and skinny stalks, but it 100% keeps the cats from digging in here. So 10 out of 10 recommend that. I will list the varieties of garlic that I planted this year. It's going to be, I planted them in the same space I planted them last year. This 4x4 bed and that 4x4 bed. Using the 2 4x4 beds last year ended up just being a perfect amount of garlic to harvest to last me a full year and have some to like left over to plant. So I'm actually using the garlic that I bought last year or the year before. I'm using the garlic I bought a year or 2 years ago because I no longer have to buy seed garlic from the store. I have officially grown enough garlic to be able to never have to buy garlic again. Yes. So I don't have the names off the top of my head right now. But I do believe they are both soft neck varieties, I think. In this little bed, I've got a dill plant, which I've already harvested some of these seed heads. They aren't looking too hot. We've had freezes every night for the past week. So they're looking sad. They're still alive, clearly. I'm still getting chamomile off of this plant. They're just not growing as quickly and not producing flowers as much because it's so cold. Now these are 2 cut and come again varieties. I'm not sure if they're Chinese white or Amsterdam, but they're both celery. And I am absolutely in love with this cut and come again style celery. I actually have another plant over here and an even cooler plant right here, which survived over the summer. This is all the old dead stuff, and it actually started producing new spears of celery down here at the base. This is where it flowered over the summer, so it did get hot, obviously. Hot enough to flower, and I thought it was gonna die back, but then it started putting out new shoots down here, which is very, very cool. I've talked about this before, but I've never been able to grow like heading, like the single stalks you find in the store, celery like that successfully here in the desert because it just wants cool, long, cool temperatures. It's quite a long growing period for celery. And we don't have long, cool temperatures anywhere in our seasons. We have long, extremely cold temperatures in the winter, but that's too cold for it to grow very quickly or very well. We just don't have a very long spring or cool fall. But this cut and come again stuff is so cool. The stems don't get as big, so if you're like trying to make peanut butter raisin boats out of your celery, it might not be as effective. But I just use celery for like maybe to cut up and put in salads, and I definitely use it in my mirepoix for stews, and that's all I really need it for. So this works perfectly, and I love it. I highly recommend it. Baker Creek has 2 or 3 varieties of the the cut and come again style. And if you live in the desert and you've never been able to grow celery, I highly recommend giving that a try. Go away. Alright, into this bed I just thrown some extra onions. As you can see right here, I have a ton of onions left over. It doesn't look like a lot, looks like a small little clump, but I swear there's more than 20 onions in that little clump. So I am back to throwing onions wherever I can, including in this bean bed. These beds usually house beans in the summertime. And then over here I have got my garlic coming up, my perennial chives, which, I mean, these just keep going and going as long as you take care of them. And this is a eucalyptus plant that I bought when I first, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I had to chop it off. I just cut it off right at the head there because it was almost touching my shade cloth. I don't know anything about eucalyptus trees, or if it's even a tree, or if it stays a shrub. I don't know. If I planted a tree in my bed, that's probably not good. But I just figure I can keep it shrub-like, correct? Or did I just kill it by chopping this off? If you're wondering about, it looked like this before with these sad little leafless stems. So my cutting it didn't do that. But if anyone can let me know if I could just keep this thing as a shrub by like regularly pruning it. Because I love eucalyptus. My favorite thing is just to come out here and break this and just walk around the garden and sniff eucalyptus. It's my favorite thing. And I believe this is silver dollar eucalyptus. But yeah, no, it's not. It's not silver dollar eucalyptus. What is the name of it? I should know all the eucalyptus styles because I had eucalyptus at my wedding, so I did some shopping. It's like blue something. Anyways, if anyone can tell me my eucalyptus will be okay if I just continually chop it off. If I could have a eucalyptus bush, that would be ideal. So this bed was where all of my okra was, and I left my okra up until basically the very first frost, even a couple days after, because I had a ton of pods here that I wanted to save seeds from. So I just ended up throwing down seeds for root vegetables whenever I could. Every time I cleared out a new okra plant, I would throw some seeds down. So that's why these are all like planted and growing at different stages of life. Over here I've got carrots, and these are definitely the oldest carrots that I have in terms of age and size. If we dig down here, not too big, pretty decent though. Over here I've got some later planted carrots, and then these are going to be all radishes that I threw down. I had spotty germination in some of my later plantings, but that's to be expected because my later plantings were occurring at like the end of October, beginning of November, and it was already freezing by then. So it's really hard to germinate a seed when it's freezing for 12 hours out of the day. And out here at the front, I still had okra up here until the last minute, so I just have some leftover onions. These were some pots, some unsuccessful pots. These ended up going to seed. This is, shoot, I wish I could remember. It's one of my favorite red lettuces. I'll probably put it on the screen. And this looks like Freckles lettuce, possibly. Anyways, all three of these bolted, so they're inedible now. And this is all parsley, which has not taken off, but I'm using crappy soil here, so that's to be expected. I don't use a ton of parsley anyways. I just like having it on hand fresh if I need it, so I'm not too bummed out about that. Beautiful boy. What are you getting into? Anyone who's like a millennial, born in the 90s, or grew up outside, was a dirt kid. That's what Apollo is reminding me of just like going out into the fields or the woods and just playing and running and hiding under bushes and foliage. That was fun. That was like the best, man. This bed I've got a mixture of stuff as well as this. This is where you're gonna see a lot more cabbages, which have, look at this, just been completely ravaged by cabbage worms. Oh goodness. Most of my cabbages did not make it this year just because of cabbage worms. Here I've got a broccoli that I already harvested. But it's already sending up side shoots, which is great. I'll be able to eat these soon. This is a broccoli that I'm unfamiliar with. This doesn't look like my usual Waltham 29, so I'm not sure which one that is. Got another cabbage. This one looks like it fared a little bit better. It's not gonna get very large, but that's fine. That'll be good to eat. This one also looks pretty good comparatively. I mean, they're tiny, but you know, at least it's a cabbage. These two just got all funky. They're all twisted and weird and all eaten up. I will still eat them though. Don't you worry about that. I can 100% say the absolute worst problem I had this year in my fall garden was cabbage moths and subsequently cabbage worms. I usually have them every year. I have them all summer. They obviously don't bother me during the summer because I don't grow any brassicas. But they were just out this year. They were on everything, and I'm not a big sprayer. I think if this happens again next year, I will definitely use an organic pesticide. I don't know what worms need. Is it BT or diatomaceous earth? If it's this bad next year, I will absolutely break out the organic pesticide. I did do my best. Almost every day, when I would just come and walk the garden because it makes me feel at peace, I would just pick off cabbage worms and like throw them or feed them to the chickens. So I did my best to try and pick as much as I could, but there were so many, more than I've ever seen, more than there's ever been before. So they have absolutely decimated my cabbage crop. They do also eat broccoli and cauliflower leaves. And they will crawl up into your broccoli, so you should soak it and wash it before you eat it, or you might end up eating a cabbage worm. But they don't do near the damage to what they do to actual cabbage heads. And most of my cabbage heads are just riddled with holes and bite marks. So that's a little disappointing, but for the most part, I'm growing a really successful fall garden currently. And I had a lot of stuff to do these past couple months, and I didn't pay a lot of attention to the garden. So I am over the moon with how amazing it looks right now, considering how much work I haven't done to it that I usually do. So I'm not upset about it, but they were really bad this year. And I got it the worst in these two beds, probably because the plants in these beds are more unhealthy because the soil is more unhealthy. But look at some of these plants. My goodness. I mean, there's not even a head to harvest. That's it. They're just riddled. This one's got a little bit bigger of a head. Oh, that's decent. Although I bet if I cut into that, I might find a couple cabbage worms. But these are the funniest over here at the back. These are ones I didn't even bother with. Look at that. It's so bad. So I've kind of just like let these be a wash and focused a majority of my attention on the rest of my brassicas because these two beds just got totally decimated. Here I've got some more Brussels sprouts, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, bok choy, bok choy mustard, and some kale. Just not as exciting when I don't have all the varieties for you guys. I'm sorry. I can say though, it was way less stress to plant this garden when I didn't care what varieties were going where. Because I didn't label anything. I labeled when I first started the seeds, but when I started up potting them, I didn't label anything. I didn't label them when I threw them out here. I just went for it. And it was way less stressful. Unfortunately, because I have a YouTube channel and you guys expect that from me, it won't be a regular occurrence. I will absolutely be labeling my varieties next year with the spring. But yeah, with the wedding and taking a couple months off YouTube, I didn't do it. And it was nice. It was nice. So we are here at the last bed, guys. This is the full 5 by 10? 5 by 10. Here's my in-ground. I am not doing anything with it this season because the Bermuda grass absolutely murdered me. Here in this bed, I've got more onions that I just threw in here because I had some space left over. Bok choy. This is arugula. And these are some more of the same lettuces which bolted. I'm waiting for it to flower though because I think they're going to be pretty and they haven't yet. This is some more arugula and I've got parsley here, dill again. And these are various brassicas in different stages of growth. See, I believe this is, oh, look at you. I see you. Gotcha. Here's a cabbage worm. You know what I do with these guys? Eat. Bye-bye. So I've got like some small little tiny heads of broccoli. Some doing a whole bunch of nothing. And then over here I have a couple cabbages. Now I can tell you this variety. This is 100% an early Jersey Wakefield. I know because I harvested this guy right here. He's already gone. I've torn him down, put his leaves down on the ground, and eaten him. I don't know about these other varieties. They definitely don't look as good as this guy. This one's huge. I'm not sure why that is. I definitely picked some cabbage worms off of that early Jersey Wakefield. But I don't know if it's just a better pest resistance from that specific variety or if it's because that variety is quicker growing. It is one of the quickest growing cabbage varieties, so maybe it just outgrew the worms per se. I don't know why, but I've already harvested one cabbage and made some zesty coleslaw out of it. I think I did do a video with you guys about that. It's really delicious. I think that or other early Jersey Wakefield is going to be the only other good cabbage I get from the garden. Oh well, I got tons of broccoli. So yeah, guys, that is pretty much it. It is dusk now. It looks lighter because my camera's good with lighting, but it's getting pretty dark. And I'm gonna go inside. This was a little difficult after 4 months of not doing a video. I'm like, what do we talk about? But it's good. I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad to be videoing again and having all of my time be able to be spent in the garden instead of planning a wedding. That was exhausting. If any of you guys have done that, it's very exhausting. But it was fun. Thank you again for all of you subscribers who are still here after my hiatus. I love you all. And I might throw up a couple pictures right now from the wedding. I don't have any video. I didn't get a videographer. I did hire a photographer. My photos aren't done yet, but we do have some sneak peek photos that I might throw in here for y'all. If you've been around the channel a while, you know Chase and the kids, and you've seen them all before. So I think you might enjoy some of these. And what else? I've got a couple more updates for you. New builds on the farm that Chase is doing, as well as a couple new chickens. Dang it. I leave it open for 1 second. Shh, get out of here. Nope, wrong way. Get. Anyways, I got new chickens because I might have to murder those old ones. But I'm also excited to hear from y'all. I am sad about the fact that I decided to have a fall wedding, take some time off of YouTube, and then get right back into shooting videos right when the gardening season is over. So if you guys have any specific content you want me to make, please let me know. This is the time to let me know, because there's not a whole lot going in the garden right now. I mean, obviously it's full of plants, but nothing is changing very rapidly. Everything is growing slowly. It's cold outside. So there will definitely be some recipe videos in the future for y'all. Maybe some herbal videos, some tinctures, some salves. So let me know. I have not read any comments in the past couple months, so I've got to catch up on those. I apologize if you have commented or asked me a question. Again, I have not been on YouTube at all, and I will get to them here in the next couple days. I'm so sorry, but thank you so much for sticking around. Thank you for watching this garden tour today, and I will catch you on the next one.